Right, so just gonna open this with the traditional fashion of fuck YouTube's new system, because you have to go live twice, which just means it takes so much longer. So that's good. That's all settled up now. We're here with a limited player party today because people were busy, and this is more, this was a sort of spur of the moment-ish type thing, and or I forgot to tell people early enough. One of the two, you get to pick. This is the start of the new campaign. This is probably going to be primarily streamed on the Swamp Playing Game channel. Link not in the description, because unlike the previous version of this software, you can't save your description unless you physically copy it from one stream to the next. So that's fun. So deal with that on the Swamp Playing Games channel probably maybe next week. Most likely definitely the new year, depending on if people are busy or not. Because hey, holidays, people have families and shit. I think I've rambled enough for now. So yeah. The players are a party of small people, primarily dwarves, who have been displaced in their homeland and go about seeking to do things that are generally deemed productive and or profitable by their displaced king, who is presumably currently sleeping off last night's drink.
He's getting some cigarettes.
Yes. The grudge holders, however, are down in the common room of the bar that they have been staying in overnight. And there's some quite interesting characters around, including the traditional mysterious strangers sitting in the shadows, of which the inn appears to have been specially crafted, so it includes as many different hidden alcoves of a table big enough for 3 people, as doesn't really seem practical, but it's presumably some kind of marketing gimmick by the owner. The town has been racked by terrible storms the last few days, and it has led to quite a lot of what's the word? As shit happening at the nearby docks in the mostly sheltered harbour, in the shadow of the large lighthouse in the bay. Do you gentlemen wish to go and approach one of these mysterious strangers?
Why, yes.
What race are they?
You cannot tell. They are hooded and cast in shadow.
How tall are they?
They are sitting down.
How tall are they?
They seem to be about middling height for a human.
Could be an elf.
Okay. Apparently, they recommend that that you stream with a 4500 kilobits bitrate. I'm sure this will be terribly affected by the whole, it's a static image, and nothing will really be happening there.
How do I change
But
that?
I guess you can. I think you have to stop. I think you can do it while the stream's going.
Oh wait, I found. Wait, no, that's audio.
Yeah. It's
Audio
bitrate.
No.
I assume it's video bitrate. I'm not sure, but it says 4500 is the recommended.
I don't know where video bitrate is.
It looks fine to me.
Okay.
Chat, if it's bad, tell me. This is not going to go as smoothly as anticipated, mainly because I was anticipating having 5 players, not 2. But hey, I fucked up, so it's fine.
Bruh.
So, you go over to one of these strangers who is waiting in the alcove. He gestures towards the available bench.
I'll go post the link of this on your server.
Understandable.
Grug shall sit down and eye them wearily.
Holt shall do the same.
Good evening, strangers. How may I help you this fine morning?
Oi, is you an elf?
I am not an elf, good sir. Do not worry.
Good. Don't like him. Not racist.
I am.
Well, how might I help you, gentlemen who have you seem to be new in the town? You in come in on one of the boats or overland?
We've arrived from sea.
Ah. Dwarves not generally travel by sea, but new chances for everything, I suppose. No, I was wondering if I know at least some of your fellow travellers have not been quite so fortunate in these terrible storms. I'd heard that not 3 days past there was a terrible wreck to the north of here along the coast. Seems they mistook an old watchtower for our lighthouse, and well, there's not much left of them, let's put it that way. But you may be able to help me on this subject. Some local vagabonds found some things they didn't trust, shall we say, and thought they would try and impart their newfound treasures to the highest bidder at the first opportunity. So, it is it's an item of significance to my order. I'm sure you have not heard of us, do not worry. You are new in this land, I'm sure all will become clear eventually. But I could do with it being transferred to a town to the east of here. It is a trifling matter, but it is of the, shall we say, negotiable secrecy. He clinks some coins in his belt.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means I am willing to pay you to get it out of my sight and towards someone else who can get a better deal of it.
So what's to
Alright.
negotiate?
Well, if I were to offer you 5 gold pieces to convey it, would that be deemed adequate for your needs? Two strong men such as yourselves should have no difficulty carrying a small travelling chest a few dozen miles to the town.
I think 7 gold is definitely reasonable, so
8 sounds okay.
Ah, okay. Well, if it's going to be 8 gold, then I'm going to need some
He said 9.
assurances. Well, I'm sure for 7 gold we can come to some agreement, but how do I know that I can trust you? You
We're very
seem
trustworthy
very-
for 10 gold.
you have my word.
For 10 gold, though, I can't help but think that the two of you may come across some problems. Do you have any other companions you could travel with that might help ease you on your way? For possibly as much as 15 gold?
Oh, I'm sure if you throw in another 15, the 25 will be good enough for our party.
Ah, party is it? Ah, how many are there? I need to be assured of their trustworthiness, honesty,
5
moral
dwarves.
character.
You can trust dwarves.
I'm sure I can trust dwarves, but you gentlemen, I treat you as individuals. We have, if I am to be paying you 20 gold for you to do this thing for me, and you merely abscond with the item, then, well, it would be a terrible thing to occur
Are you
for you.
questioning the dwarven honor?
Oh, I'm not questioning your honor. I am questioning the, how do I phrase this? The moral spirit of these companions of yours I have yet to meet. Might I ask where they are at this time, or are they about their own business?
Cousin, this feels like a elvish tricks.
I believe they're still back at camp, resting.
Ah. From what I heard from the barkeep, there was a collection of very noisy dwarves rented one of his rooms up in the attic last night.
That's where they're
And,
camping.
proceeded to try. Ah. Indoor camping, I see. There we go. Well, maybe if they are to make their way down to me a little later on, we can discuss this further. But I guess for now, if you gentlemen are wanting to see some of the sights, if you go about a mile's walk up the coast, you'll find that little watchtower. It may be a nice sight for you to think through my offer of 20 gold pieces for you to convey this box to the next major town.
Deal.
Sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
Hand it over.
Hand what over?
The box and the money.
The box is not here. I do not carry it upon me. It would be inconvenient. However, I will, as a show of good faith, offer you a down payment, and he hands each of you a gold coin. The money feels strangely cold.
What material is this actually? I'm not saying that. I'm
Seems
looking
to be
at it.
gold.
Hmm.
I mean, it's about as gold as most of the gold coins you find. You are highly suspect as to the actual gold value of them, but the currency itself is small and universal to the area.
If it works, it works.
Yeah. So there's a say it is, kind of probably about 10 in the morning. You don't have any particular things to do today. You have most of your heavier gear has been left upstairs with your comrades, associates, if you wish to call them. Do you wish to go and investigate this coastline? Enjoy the views?
No.
Yeah, sure. Hmm.
We may have reached an impasse.
Seems like a trap.
Also, hello to everyone in the chat. I do want to interrupt the opening drone. But, yes.
Oh, there's a lot of people.
So yes, I'd say if any of the other players wish to jump in, they are more than welcome to. And they can, do some talky bits. Yes, so there is a path leading to the up to the north, if you wish to follow it.
What do you think?
Let's give it a go.
Alright. After, well, about 20, 30 minutes walking, you walk, I guess, along the coastline, which is a mixture of low beaches and some cliffs with some nice aesthetically pleasing bays, which you don't really care for as they look rather pointy and elvish. But you come across, after a while, a short, squat tower with some sheep lurking here. There's, however, a large collection of rocks off the shoreline.
Are there any particularly elvish-looking rocks?
No, it all appears to be rather primitive human construction. But this may have been a beacon tower once, but not for quite a long time by the look of it.
Is that person actually there, or is that just part of the drawing?
There is a shepherd there, but it is also just part of the drawing. I meant to find the references for these, but I'm lazy. Probably source them again. Surprisingly difficult finding oddly specific artwork. In that I didn't find it and have had to kind of improvise. And I didn't have the motivation today to do lots of pixel artwork because I thought it would just look a bit shit. Especially for a talkie, because a talkie you want to have something nice to look at, I find.
Yeah.
Crunchy combat, it can be a bit more haphazard, but for a talkie, it's nice. But no, you come across this. It's on a high headland. There are some sheep. You notice down the beaches as you pass. The beaches are just covered in random crap. All very high up the beach. It seems the storm tides of the last week have brought a lot of things to the shore. There's some distressingly, skeletal-looking bits amongst the driftwood as well.
Is anything particularly useful and/or valuable drifted ashore by any chance?
No, you can see from this approach, but as you get to the tower, you can look down. There is a large bay just to the right-hand side that has it appears to be quite a deep water bay, except near the shoreline, the land comes up rather sharply, and on it there is a rather fairly large, sort of coastal boat that appears to be in a very much a state of disrepair if you wish to go and look down at it.
Let us be about this.
There is a... I couldn't find a better picture, I'm afraid. Apparently, there aren't many current pictures of like wrecked sailing ships. Imagine that. They've all got people in them, or are hideously black and white, or watermarked. So it seems that the Hulk has been set ablaze, at least in some small part. And although it doesn't look too damaged in the sort of the hull, it is about 10-20 feet above the high tide line, as would normally be the case. And
bit of a fixer-upper.
Yes, the rigging is strewn across the nearby area, and the remains of the mast are poking up like a broken toothpick from the deck. I also feel like this current music in the background is not very relevant. Never mind. I will look for something better. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Got some better audio for this. My apologies. Do you wish to investigate the wreckage?
Yeah, sure.
So as you walk down the headland, you notice that there is, well above the high tide line on the grassy bit of the hill, there appears to be a kind of distressingly large collection of recently dug graves, from what you can tell. Is the ship did not have a pleasant landing in this rather unexpected port.
No, I was just fixing that when you posted that. Actually, let me know if it seemed fixed.
Yeah, I started the music too quiet, so... Sounds vaguely Minecraft, this music.
Reminds me of digging a hole.
Yes. No, you can't help but notice as well that various parts of the ship that you would expect to see appear to be missing. The figurehead, for example, is gone, appears to have some rather fresh saw marks around the area where it would traditionally be. The fore and aft lanterns are notably missing. Various bits of metalwork on the deck have been taken. Anything loose is gone. However, the hull has, for whatever reason, a very large rock above one of the main hatches into the hold. So,
very large rock.
You know, sort of 1, maybe 2 meters across. It's kind of a big flat one, which looks to be of a suspiciously similar material to the cliffs nearby.
Could we try and push it aside to get access to the hatch?
You can try this. It's you know, you can just take your time over it and just sort of use some loose bits of wood to try and lever it out of the way.
And if necessary, I will use my hammer.
So after about 5-10 minutes of this, you manage to jiggle it out of the way a bit more using your dwarvish strength. The hull appears, despite expectation, to be quite deep in water inside, despite there being no obvious breach in the hull, at least in this part. Just to try and climb down into the below decks.
This ship, its construction, does this... what does it seem like it was made by?
It seems like it was made by humans. The construction is generic and dull.
And flimsy.
Yeah, probably a very basic merchant vessel that got caught in the wrong storm.
Not the best of engineers, but I'll trust that enough to go in. Let's see.
Down and down into the deep.
There's
Who knows what
there's
we'll
no
find
ladder,
beneath.
but it doesn't look to be too far down into the hole, as the floor is conveniently the wall. So you can just sort of climb sideways, I suppose. You can see, as you are climbing down, there are some patches of sunlight shining through other bits in the hole. So it seems to have some small breaches of other hatchways, but none of them as substantial as the one you're going through. The hole leads forward and backwards, and there are some bits and pieces jutting out of the floor and what have you.
Anything that looks remotely useful?
There appears to be a few odd chests and things. Everything seems kind of waterlogged and or is gently floating around your ankles.
In that case, I shall try and get a hold of a few of those chests and sort of move them to a place that is not as filled with water,
Oh, okay. You
if
kind
at all
of
possible.
gently sort of try and push them up the hull towards, well, what would normally be the floor, but is currently functioning quite well as a wall, as the ship has listed over quite severely to one side, if that had not been clear. And sort of, I guess, lash them down slightly with some of the loose rigging that's inside for that purpose. There is, you notice, a cabin to the fore and aft as your eyes become more accustomed to the light after the harsh daylight outside.
Let us open these chests first and see what's inside.
The first couple of chests you open seem to have probably contained flour or something that has not taken well to being submerged, and it's sort of just kind of a mess. But there may be some, it might be dryable. You're not exactly the most adept at baking, to my knowledge.
Nope. Now, in that case, let's move on to the cabin.
Yeah.
What do you think, Outwork?
Yes.
Let us be about this cousin.
Indeed, Grug.
As you move towards the front cabin, you notice the door is shut against you, and the water appears to be shallower at this end. Do you wish to enter the cabin?
Yep.
Okay. It seems that at least before it got quite heavily submerged and shipwrecked, affected, it was probably a fairly nice, considering passenger cabin aboard this ship. It's got a bed and hammock. It's got some furniture nailed to the walls and floor. You can appear to have a chair or two. However, what it also has is a rather messily decapitated corpse.
What kind of corpse?
You're not sure. It looks humanish, but it's hard to tell as the important bit is missing.
How tall is this corpse?
It's sort of middling height.
For a human?
It looks to be human. It seems to be fairly standardly dressed, tunic, trousers, that kind of thing. Doesn't appear to be armed or particularly, well attired. But to be travelling in a cabin of this, not quality, it must have been someone who had a bit of money.
Yeah.
But,
I reckon pirates must have gotten to him.
The deck is rather stained in the area, and there's appears to be another large sort of rock embedded in the ceiling. Which you may be able to remove, but that will be at your discretion, as it seems quite happy there.
Shall remove this rock.
Oh, okay. Could you give me a strength test quickly?
I assist.
Yeet.
this is where we find out that the Roll20 doesn't work. You give it a rather half-hearted shove, but it seems fairly stuck in place. The wood appears to have gotten wet and expanded around it, sticking it in. But it is rather distressingly, red around the edges.
Red.
Yes, it's as you, I guess, consider the traditional angle of the floor, it may very well be that the ceiling was rather low in here, and anything coming through the ceiling had a rather terminal effect on the passenger.
Ah.
Wrong place at the wrong time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But their chests still appear to be in order. They have rather boring collection of rather soggy paper in them, though, which does not look to be anything profitable for you to salvage from this operation.
All right. Well, in that case, shall we just head back to the tower?
Yeah,
The lighthouse.
Off we go.
So was the aftward cabin as well.
The what?
The aftward cabin, below the main deck cabin.
Ah. Yeah, we should probably search that as well if we can. So let us do that.
I draw my sword.
All right. Seems kind of inconvenient indoors, but never mind. As you trek along the rather heavily sloped floor, you splash back through the into the water. As the rearward cabin is the door is shut and is the entire base of it is underwater, despite the door being at about 45 degrees to normal. You wish to advance? I say the water is getting deeper the further back you go.
Right. Well, I guess we could have a look at least.
Oh, okay.
I put my sword back.
As you shove the door open, the cabin is far less nicely appointed than the previous one, and it contains some rather dull-looking ship gubbins coming through the ceiling in one place and going out again through the floor to a possibly lower still deck. You suspect something to do with the steering. The cabin, though, is very sparsely furnished. It seems as if stuff was moved out of the way to allow more passengers with not necessarily, more money to spend. Have you noticed that there's some... your dwarvish sight, Grug, shows you there is some shiny things under the water that catch your eye.
Shiny things?
The water is about 2 to 3 feet deep here, though, so you will definitely get wet if you want to try and reach them.
That is a risk I'm willing to take.
Alright. You, as gracefully as you can, submerge yourself as you kind of reach around in the corners to try and gather up what it is. It appears to be a fistful of coins. I'll work out the exact numbers shortly. And some kind of weapon. You're not quite certain what, as it's submerged in the dark waters, but it seems to have an axe-like quality to it.
Well, I'll take it with me anyways.
There appears to be nothing else. There's no traces of passengers in here, short of a few rather mouldering bits and pieces of packs and what have you, and some very soggy, clothing laying in the water. Seems they got out before whatever befell the ship befell it too much. Say anything else above the decks has been picked clean by the local scavengers and or interested children, bandits, what have you.
Well, now the traveling scavengers have gotten the rest of it, it would seem.
Yeah.
So
Let
let us head back to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
If there's nothing more of interest in here.
It doesn't appear to be anything particularly. I say you, do you want to do anything with the body?
body.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Let's roll it over, see if there's anything to notice.
Would my dwarfish sensibilities dictate that I'd have to bury him?
Well, it's up to you, really. It's,
At least,
Yeah.
would that be in line with dwarfish tradition?
I
within
mean,
this
traditionally, you know, you bury people, but
It's a human.
True.
No contempt for them, just not really relevant to our traditions.
Indeed. Then let us move on.
But I am rolling it over to see if there's anything to notice.
appears to be vaguely, boringly dressed. Has no obvious trinketry or anything of value. And say it's missing the majority of its neck. There's like a bit of jaw left, but that's about it. It does very much seem like there was a sudden violent impact to the top of the skull that just sort of decorated the room.
Smush.
Analyzing that
Yeah.
jaw, can I be certain it's a human?
Well, you're pretty sure it's a male. That's about as much as you can go with.
Dude, you should spec into phrenology.
So
Oh dear. But, yeah. I'll take you back to the lighthouse.
would my
Well,
bardic
not the lighthouse,
knowledge
the
help me
watchtower.
figure this out?
Not really. There's kind of not much left, and what there is kind of a mess and has been several days, like, almost submerged in water. Let's just say things are starting to get a little green, but you don't think it's orcish. So, hello, Lord Crispin. Hello.
Hello.
So, you can, as you make your way back up to the tower, you can, using your dwarvish sensibilities, notice that it seems that some of the tower has been disturbed recently, and a large chunk of the cliff nearby appears to have been removed. You can see some bits of wood and what have you that may have been involved in this. There may have been some foul play here, but it's a bit late to do anything about it. Well, the shepherd is still kind of eyeing you suspiciously and keeping an eye on all of his sheep. Do you wish to investigate the tower, or
This tower is made
try
of
and...
stone, right?
Yes.
Well, I would like to use stone cunning to determine if there is any unusual stonework.
Do you wish to just look around it, or do you want to go inside?
Starting from the outside, but if I don't find anything there, going inside.
From the outside, it seems to be fairly dull. It seems to be a sort of granite basalt mixture, as it seems to have been chosen for its hard wearingness rather than its convenience. Some of the brickwork on it is very finely wrought. This was probably in its heyday a quite a great symbol of power, but now it's like a sheep hut.
Hmm.
It has a few smaller windows, getting larger towards the top. However, a large amount of the top has been broken away at some point. But, it seems sturdy enough to your eyes. And we're using 3.5-ish, Lord Crispo. Now, has my internet died? Because it's gone awfully quiet suddenly.
No.
Okay. Thought I would check. It has happened before. Excuse me. Do you wish to investigate inside the tower?
Sure.
No.
I would like to continue using stone cunning.
I shall help out with improved stone cunning.
Ooh.
It seems that as you
In that case, I guess I'm
Enter.
helping.
enter through the main door, there are stairs leading up and also stairs leading down. And they all seem to be in a fairly good order, although quite worn in places.
Let's go up first.
Oh. As you make your way up, there are a few small rooms as you pass. They don't seem to be particularly, lived in or anything. Some of them are a bit more open to the elements where some of the brickwork has fallen away, and as you get higher, these gaps get rather larger. So, it would need some renovations should you wish to use it as a long-term residence, shall we say. But as you get up near the roof, it appears there is a large brazier has been set up, and there is a large amount of rather soggy-looking charcoal in the basket. So you would suspect there's probably been a fire here recently.
And also that it's been put out.
Yeah, well, it kind of looks more, I guess, from your experience, like rain damp rather than intentionally damp.
Right.
But I'm not too sure. No, do you wish to examine your findings you had earlier? Now you've got somewhere nice to sit with a view.
Yep.
It turns out that once it's dried out a bit and you've managed to get some more of the, smaller crabs and larger bits of seaweed off it, it appears to be a rather finely wrought hammer that has fared surprisingly well given the elements.
Ooh, hammer.
It's a rather classic dwarven, dwarven ceremonial hammer. It's probably not very good to fight with, but it's an impressive piece that could be worth a fair bit. Appears to have some inscriptions on it, but it's nothing you recognise.
Fancy.
It is, and you also managed to find approximately 16 silver coins.
Hell yeah.
So they seem slightly larger than the ones you're used to in this area. They may be slightly foreign. You may wish to keep them separately and get them appraised. And or go to a money changer. As your dwarvish sensibilities will also suggest that, if this silver coin is larger than a normal one, it might be worth more.
Indeed.
You don't want to get ripped off.
Exactly. Because we'll end up spending more money.
Yes. And Lord Crisper, Han and Kotrak are currently the advanced party who are doing some scouting in the area, while the rest of the player party is either busy or at work. Because I didn't book this in early enough. My bad.
Oof.
Yes, you've got 16 silver coins and a rather nice hammer. Is there anything more you would like to do in the area, or would you like to investigate more of the tower?
Are
Talk
there
to anybody?
elves around?
You can't tell if there's any elves around. You can normally smell them, but the sea air is dulling your senses to it.
Cousin, the Slight.
The
It's
slight.
been too long since we have made any progress avenging the Slight.
This cannot stand. For Allah wills it.
Indeed.
You do have the urge to make your way downstairs to be amongst the stone more, to get away from this rather airy position that feels awfully elvish to you all of a sudden.
I obey this
Indeed.
urge.
Yes, let us head down.
As you make your way down to the basement of the tower, you find a rather spacious cellar with what smells like a freshwater well over in one corner of the floor. You also notice there's a rather large set of quarrying equipment that looks suspiciously recently used. And there's some basic provisions, although there's no traces of people. Although you reckon this is possibly some kind of bandit hideaway and or, wrecker's den for those unscrupulous people who like to, wreck ships because they're assholes. You could probably carry a few of the bits away with you without much trouble, but they wouldn't be worth much to you, and there would be a nuisance to carry.
Yeah, true.
It's your decision.
Leave it.
You could always come back late with some sacks. It's not too far from the town, but a 40-minute walk is a 40-minute walk when you live,
Yeah.
10 minutes from everything.
Yeah, let's just restock on water if necessary, and
Yeah. And there is a bucket in the well. You can draw up some. The well is surprisingly deep. It seems to be much lower than the surrounding sea level. If you wish to return to the town, I'm sure you may be able to.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Is that shepherd you referenced around?
Yeah, he's sort of awkwardly loitering as if you're trying to make off with some of his sheep, potentially, if he's not looking.
I would like... I'm going to run this by Grug first. I think we should ask him about any elf sightings. Grug?
Come again?
Should we ask him about any potential elf sightings?
We definitely should, cousin.
Okay, I go up to him and do exactly that.
He looks down at you rather awkwardly while keeping his sheep to his back and keeping you where he can see you. And goes, don't see many elves around here. It's normally just fisher folk. Maybe the occasional dwarves such as yourselves. No one really comes here much. It used to be a nice harbour, but not for many years.
Really?
Yeah.
No
Those
elves.
poor folks what washed up on the beach last week had an awful nasty time. Me and some of the lads, buried the ones we could get to, but I think some of them got away. You saw some tracks back up the beach that didn't seem to come from anywhere, so probably some of them just scarpered off into the trees, get out of the storm, but not come back here. Probably gone off to the town.
How long ago was this?
Ooh, 3-4 days maybe a week. Don't really remember. What kind of blurs into one when you're watching sheep all day?
Just remember, round elves, watch yourselves.
Oh, don't worry about that. Tried to get elves around here sometime. They wanted to see if they could take this tower away with them for whatever daft reason. Said it was going to be a problem or something. People would misuse it. Bunch of goody two-shoes.
Ugh.
A waste of life energy. Come on, cousin. Let us move.
Alright, well,
Yes.
you gentlemen have a nice time, and stay away from my sheep.
Grug shall make a note of this remark.
Do you wish to head back to the town then?
Yes.
Cool. It's getting towards late afternoon now. You've spent a lot of your day walking around slowly and suspiciously looking at anything that looks like masonry in case it's elvish. And it seems the stranger is still at the inn, although he's sitting somewhere different. Or it's a different one, you're not really sure. There's a lot of them just sort of awkwardly sitting in alcoves wearing the same kind of, hooded cloak with a single candle burning in front of them.
Grug, I'm starting to like this place. Haven't seen a single elf around.
It seems like a decent place, yeah.
You're in the lower part of the town.
If only we can make the rest of the world like this. I feel like we should talk to that mysterious figure in the corner.
Yes.
Yeah, he sees you return, and have you gone straight back to the bar, or have you gone up to your rooms first? Just so I'm keeping up with things.
He
I
might
reckon
run.
we've probably just gone back to the bar.
Yeah.
Alright. he greets you when he sees you coming. He's like, "Ah, have you thought more upon my offer?"
We already accepted it.
Ah, excellent. Well, once your companions have, come and made their case to me, I'll be happy to lead you to my rooms where I keep the items, and I can see you on your merry way. I'm sure my colleagues at the other end would be more than happy to potentially reimburse you for any expenses that you might incur, should you have proper documentation, of course. They're all very proper over there. Get away a bit more out here in the out here near the edges. So, you have anything to come by from the going and seeing the watchtower? The views from there are quite nice this time of year.
Sheep and a crashed ship.
Oh, there was a shipwreck. Yes, it was a terrible thing to happen. Such a waste of life and resources. I gather the ship had been carrying some rather notable books, from what I gather from what was left of its manifests. Such a shame they've all been wasted, but I'm sure they can be repaired and other copies exist somewhere in the world. If you feel so inclined, I'm sure you can go to the tree and make an offering of some kind to, thank it for what it has left us. From the rumours I've been hearing today, there's been a few new strangers in town seeking after further transit and return of some of their items that have been misplaced by some of the local rapscallions who got back to the wreck before they did. Something about family heirlooms or something.
Let us look into this.
Yes.
I wouldn't trouble yourselves for now. Sure, it's merely rumour at the docks. They'll probably be on their way again, or just trying to claim items so they can sell them back to us once again. And the local wildlife are less than scrupulous when it comes to that. They'll, take a pity story as far as they can, and then just a tiny bit extra. So, yes.
These potential thieves or wildlife you reference, is there any chance they have these abnormally large, pointy ears?
Some of them might, but you can't go just assuming everyone is elves, my good dwarf. They, not all of them are quite the same, Some of them are probably decent people, but they don't send at their best from the elven lands. But no, if you could have some trinkets upon you, I hope you have not been scavenging from the shipwreck. It would be awfully immoral of you.
We wouldn't dare to do such a thing.
That's some kind of crime around here?
Well, generally, desecrating the graves of the dead is seen as at least in poor taste. So,
well, it's a good thing there was no graves.
Yeah, quite.
No desecration thereof.
Yeah, it's good to hear. But, yes, I'm sure any evidence that could lead to the arrest of any wrongdoers in the event would, I'm sure, be looked upon favourably by the local magistrates. Hasn't been many cases of wrecking for quite some time after the new lighthouse was built, but sometimes the bad storms do just put the sailors off course. They think they found the harbour, and it's not. So, no. Would you care to share with me these newly acquired weapons? I trust you
Show him.
bought them legitimately at the market. It's always nice to see some of the artisan wares.
Do these inscriptions mean anything to you?
He picks up and examines the hammer. These are rather fine, although these symbols are somewhat foreign to me. I guess One of my colleagues in the next town over might be able to fill you in a bit more on them, but I shouldn't worry. I'm sure probably just coming off some trading boat from one of the islands nearby. I gather some of them have some very strange cultures, burning people alive and all that. Traditionally, when you're, cremating someone, they're dead first. Well, these pagans, what can you do? I bet they don't even worship trees. Anyway, anything else you'd care to share with me before I return to my rooms for the night? Much to do in the morning, it seems.
You know of any place where I could buy maybe an empty journal
I'm
in which
sure
I can note things down?
if you go to the I believe he calls it the quartermaster's rooms. It's down near the docks. There's a gentleman there who sells all manner of things to the boat captains. They can record their manifests and what have you. He has rather a good deal on them at the moment. But you may have to go in the morning. I'm not sure if he's will be up this late, but his assistant might be around. Sure, you can go and speculate.
Let's wait till morning, cousin. I'm tired.
Well, I shall bid you gentlemen good night, and I look forward to seeing you here in the morning with your colleagues so we can finish our transaction and get all this business over with and get on with our lives. I'm sure you have important things to be doing.
We have elves to find and
He
wrongs
drains
to
his
right.
mug. He drains his mug, leaves it on the bar, and makes his way out to the door. He seems quite tall now he's standing up, as if he has very long legs.
Tall, you say?
Broad as well.
Ah, broad. Right.
What time of day is it?
It's about 5 PM at this point.
I think before the sun sets, we should do one last scouting around, make sure there's no more information we could gather on the current issue. What say you, Grug?
Sure.
Well, what would you wish to do?
Well, he mentioned something about suspicious individual or some animals or something stealing stuff from a ship. I think we should figure out what this is. Could I attempt to gather information on this?
Yeah, you can have a surreptitious listen around the bar if you want to have a go. See if there's anything in the other patrons' conversations you can overhear.
Would this involve a gather information check?
Yes, for this purpose. Excuse me. You can gather there's word is there's a few survivors of the shipwreck are not very pleased to find that their some of their colleagues had been rather obviously murdered by the look of it, and their possessions taken. The captain in particular is looking for something. At least that's what the word is on the docks. Although what he's looking for exactly isn't very clear. He's just rather urgently looking.
Where can we find
Seems to be
this
on a-
captain?
Yes.
Having rather pointedly butted into a conversation, the person who was discussing with friend goes, "Fuck if I know. Probably asleep this time of day. I mean, he's not got a boat, so try one of the inns near the docks, I guess." Oh, fuck off.
To the docks we go, Grug.
Grug shall make another mental note and move on.
As you head down the rather steep hill towards the docks, there are not that many boats in the harbour. Most of them look to be damaged in some way or another. The ship that brought you in has already left a couple of days previously, and dwarves are generally naturally suspicious of most boats. So they are not made of stone and are therefore inferior. It seems that from what you can hear on the docks and from talking to a few passers-by, that you've basically gone and harangued. It's, the former boat captain has taken ship already, it seems, to try and recoup his losses, working somewhere until he can get back to his home port. So sadly, that lead is not going to go anywhere.
In that case, we should visit the local tree that they say they worship.
It's rather obvious where it is. It is down the hill towards, there's a small river running through the town. Leads down to the bay. And it is in a bend of the river. Almost cut off. Almost an island on its own. There's this large tree and then several smaller ones around it.
Let us investigate there.
There is a small ornamental gate leading into the, I guess, walled garden type effect it's got going on. All seems very well maintained and cared for. And there's a few the local citizens lurking around on benches and what have you in the area. They appear to just be enjoying the evening air. And there's another of these people in the mysterious robes kind of lurking near the tree.
Can I notice anything else about these people in the robes?
They all seem to just be fairly similar robes, you notice. They are sort of general sort of natural earthy tones, sort of greens and browns. Some of them have swirly patterns on the sleeves and what have you, but generally they're just kind of generic looking. You take them probably for monks, given the context.
They humans?
It seems to be a mixture of humans and possibly some half-orcs, so you're not quite sure if it's just the lighting. If they're half-orcs, they're very humanoid.
Quadrorcs, perhaps.
It's not quite what I was getting at, but yeah, I guess.
Good looks.
They may be a little green, but they're mostly just human. So, they all look very young when you see them in the light. Couldn't be more than about, 20s, maybe early 30s at most. So can't help but notice that with the hammer slung from your belt, a lot of them are giving it rather odd looks. As you have done at least a local faux pas of openly bringing implements into their sacred garden.
Boy, what are you looking at?
I can't help but notice that you gentlemen are... I do not place your accent, but you seem to be mistaking this holy shrine for merely a park, I suppose. But it is generally not the done thing to bring such implements into these holy spaces. They give the wrong impression, and, well, the trees are watching. I'm sure you can understand. It is just, it is not a big issue. However, we would request you to, avoid doing so in future, if possible. It can make some of the locals a bit uncomfortable to see you, so armed.
Which kind of locals?
Well, the people of the town. What other type of locals are there?
Seems like a very elven attitude.
I beg your pardon? I do not understand what you mean.
Who are the elves behind this tradition of yours?
There are no elves behind this tradition. It is tradition to not take weapons into a holy place. Surely men such as yourselves must know this.
How about you point me
Can't be from
towards...
such barbarian lands that you would take weapons into your holy places.
I will forgive you for insulting the stone in such a way, for it was clearly an accident. Point me towards the elves, and we will gladly move our weapons away from here.
There are no elves here, to my knowledge. I mean, there may be some within the town, but I do not know. I do not look at people like this. I take them for their, I know them by who they are, not what they are. Bigot.
Come on, Holt.
He has slighted
Let
us.
not associate with
He has
this filth.
slighted us. Did you hear him?
It will be noted down.
We'll be back. Walks away.
Bye. Do you want to go back to the inn, or do you want to look around the town more?
Nope,
We shall
going
head
to the
back
town.
to the inn. Damn,
Yep.
we're at another impasse.
He obviously looked somewhere when he said, in the town. So, heading in that direction.
Alright, let's do that.
So what's the plan, guys? Because I was going to start wrapping up as soon as I think we've covered everything.
Alright, in that case, let's just head back to the inn and to bed,
Yeah.
as it were.
Well, I guess
Keeping an eye out
we
for
shall...
elves on the way.
Yes.
I guess we shall probably leave it there then for the day. Do you have any final points before we close off?
Points. Pointy. Pointy ears.
Well, I guess I'll go thank you to the chat for watching. I say
Also,
it's a shorter episode.
one more thing. Pointy ears, get the shears.
Oh no. Oh no.
Starting to think we should have gone back to that garden.
Perhaps you could go with your colleagues tomorrow when they are rested.
Having this
Yes.
idea on my own, I am very much liking it. We will go tomorrow with our colleagues after we rest.
Okay.
Thank you, voice in my head.
Well, you can return to the bar, go up to your rooms, and then, I guess, rest the night away camping in, presumably, indoors.
Camping in the attic, thank you very much.
Yeah. Right, well, anything you'd like to say before I close out the stream?
No.
Excellent. I hopefully might see you this time next week. Hopefully more people. If not, it'll be in the next few weeks, whether people, travel, general apathy permitting. If not, definitely the new year. Probably I say on the Swamp Playing Games channels Wednesday slot. And yeah, have a nice time. Bye.
Unless you're an elf.
Oh, fucking hell. Why is YouTube so difficult now?